This is section 3 of the quick tour, the overview of what you'll be working with in Illustrator. The next thing we're going to work with is creating gradients. Gradients are color blends of two or more colors that can be applied to either a fill or to a stroke. We're going to put a gradient on our background shape now, and that's going to let us see that castle in the back. So the first thing I want to do is click on that white box that we drew back in the beginning, and I'm going to bring up the fill to make sure that that is active. Yes, it is. We also want to get rid of the stroke, so I'm going to actually bring that up first, and I'm going to say none to the stroke, which gets rid of the black line. Again, I'm going to activate my fill color to bring that forward, and I can go to Window and select my gradient tool, gradient panel rather, and I have my fill is active, and I have a black to white gradient showing, and I'm going to go to Type and use the drop down and show linear, which puts my gradient in, but it puts it in running the wrong way. So the next thing that I am going to do is change the angle of this, and I'm going to change this to 90 degrees simply by selecting from the drop down, which is going to run the gradient from the top to the bottom rather than side to side. I really am not wanting this to be black. I really would like this to be a sky color, so I'm going to click on that gradient slider, double click it, which will bring up the swatches tab, or I can actually bring up my color panel and select from that, but I'm going to go ahead and use a pre-selected, which I think I would like. I think this is going to be a nice blue right here. Oh, maybe I'll pick the next one over. Oh, I like that one better. So let me select that, and I'll hit my escape key to exit that mode. I don't want that that gradient to run all the way across, so I am going to drag this slider up to somewhere around the middle of the screen, or the middle of the bar, which is going to put this somewhere around halfway, so my gradient runs through the top half of my document, and it's white from about halfway on down. So we have control over the way that works. Let's see. The next thing that I want to do is add a gradient to the top of my globe so that it has a little more dynamic onto that and make it look like it's rounder. So I'm going to click on the globe, the blue ball, to select it, and I'm not selecting the vector drawing of the continents. I'm just selecting that blue ball. I'm going to go to Edit and Copy, Edit, and Paste in Place, which is going to put that on top. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to apply the gradient to that fill. But this time I'm going to make it a radial gradient. Now this is still coming up with the gradient that I put in the back. It's not what I'm wanting. So I'm going to go back and select the white and black again. Again, I need to change that back to radial. And this time I'm going to select that the black gradient slider, and I'm going to change the color of it to white, which gives me a white ball. Well, why didn't you go and make this a white fill? Because I can also change the opacity. And instead of having a 100% opacity on that outside block, I only want to have 0 opacity, which is going to bring down my it's going to eliminate the black so that the only thing that I can see is the other end of that slider. So, and you can even see on the slider bar that I have white here, goes to clear on this end. And I have more control than that. I can go over to my tool panel, pick up my gradient tool, and with my gradient tool I can control how and which direction my gradient runs. So I'm going to actually locate my gradient in the upper section of my globe and put a little shine on it like that so that it looks like there's light reflecting off of it. One of the next things I want to do is to add some text to this. I also want to lock that gradient because I don't want to have an issue with selecting it. So I'm going to pick that gradient up, and which is going to be the top layer. So if I select right here, I should show that I have, yes, that I have a white and clear fill on that. And I'm going to go Object, Lock, Selection. And that's going to keep me from picking that up, because I would like to make this look a little fancier than what it is. So I'm going to pick up that blue circle behind, and I am going to add a filter to this, an effect, which is stylized, and I'm going to put in a drop shadow. And I'm going to leave my mode at multiply, my opacity, and everything at the default setting. Click on preview and say OK, and that adds a little drop shadow to this, which picks up my my globe and offsets it and makes it look like it's sitting above everything else. Okay, one of the next things that we want to do is put some text on here. This is for an amusement park, so I'm going to take my text tool, make sure that I am still on my top layer, which is content. Yes, I am, and I'm going to click with my text tool and type in the words amusement park. And I'm going to put my cap locks on so that I can get this all caps. AMU, make sure I spell it right. Select all, and I'll turn off my cap locks because that can affect some of my other items. And next I am going to change the fonts. We have something available. Many of you will have it. I don't believe we have this hooked up in the computer lab, so it may not work. But we can select to sync fonts with something called Typekit, and we'll learn more about that later in the book where it's applicable. But I am using a font that is not on my system, but it is from Typekit, which holds access to a multitude of fonts. But I am going to pick up something called Azo Sans Uber Regular, which is a very blocky font, and I want to, let's see, yes, there we go. And I am going to change this to 72 points to make it quite large. And the next thing that I want to do with this is change the color to a nice dark purpley blue. I'm going to pick up from here, which kind of matches the color that I chose for the, actually I'm going to go a little bit purpler, there we go. And I want to drag this to the center across my globe. There we go. Put it, but we can't read it. So the next thing that I'm going to do, I think I need to slide that over just a little bit. There we go. The next thing that I'm going to do is put in a straight line and so I can put a banner behind this. Oh, before I do that, though, I need to warp this. If you've used Word, you've had access to text warp, and we have the same ability here in Illustrator. I can go to select my text, go to Object, Text. Let's see. I want Envelope Distort, make with Warp, and all I need to do is get my setting. We're going to arc. You have the same type, arc lower, upper, arch, and all of that, the same thing that you have in Word. And I'm going to bring my bend down, though, to 36%. Come on. Oh, I give up. I'm going to type in the 6 and say OK. So I have this nice arc going. But you can't read that very well against that globe back there. So the next thing I'm going to do is draw a line all the way across, or pretty much across. I'm going to hold my Shift key down, which will keep me from going in in an odd direction. Let's see if that actually worked. No, let's try this again. Cancel. There's my line. Okay, great. Now I have this lovely line, but I need to do something else with this. So I would like to go to Window and bring up my brush library. Let's go to, let's see, I'm looking for borders, I believe, decorative, banners and seals. And you can see it brings up a panel that gives me a choice of different pre-drawn banners for me to select. And I'm going to pick that one on the top, and I can then close that panel out. I don't need that anymore. Well, that's all well and good, but it's awfully narrow, so I'm going to go into my stroke panel and change the width of this to 5 points, which, oh, much better, much easier to see. And I'm going to grab my selection tool, and I think I need to make this a tad bit wider. I want the width of this to be a little bit longer. I want this to be about 15 inches, and it's not quite, so let me go a little bit wider and make it about 15¼ inches so that everything fits nicely. Bring this down, and I'm going to go to Object, Arrange, Send Backward, which will put it right behind my text. And now I can line my text up with my banner. I can actually center these by selecting one, holding down my, let's see, there's the line that I want to select, and select Amusement Park, and I can align these so they're centered and bring them over a little bit so that they're centered over the top of the globe. Bring that down just a little bit. I've already put my drop shadow in, and I think I would like to reposition my castle in the background. Let me drag that up a little bit so I can actually see that a little bit better. And there I have my finished product.